Hello beautiful and welcome to your Gua Sha facial routine. So in this routine, this is the gua sha I will be using. It is what I call the dolphin shaped gua sha, and it does also have a ridged edge. If you don't have a gua sha like this, do not worry, use whatever gua sha you do have and make adjustments around the shape of the gua sha as well as your bone structure. This routine may look different on each person, but it should still follow the same sequence no matter what gua sha you are using or what your bone structure is like. So, as always, we are applying a nice light layer of facial oil. I am really just trying to press it into the skin here rather than too much massage, because we are going to cover all of that when using the gua sha. Okay, so starting at the chest in the centre of the clavicle, we are going to take the gua sha on its flat edge, pulling outwards to the side 3 times. Now onto the neck, we are doing our lovely rainbow arcs, moving up from the collarbone to the jawline and back down. We are going to do this movement at least 5 times, going back to the chest to help with the direction of drainage. Moving to the other side, again we are starting in the centre, moving outwards 3 times using the flat edge. Now going into our rainbow arcs on the other sides of our neck, and just lightly flowing the gua sha up to the jawline and back down to the collarbone at least 3 times. This can be done intuitively up to 5 times, as many as you feel is needed. So we should be using a nice light pressure here before we move into the centre of our neck. So I am taking the divoted edge of the dolphin shaped gua sha, and I am very super gently just stroking up from the sternum up to underneath the chin, and I am going to do this between 3 to 5 times. Now, taking the flat side of your gua sha, we are going to run this along one side of the jaw between 3 to 5 times, and this really is to just help us locate where we are holding tension. We should not be going at a firm pressure here, just a nice light to medium pressure. It is very normal to feel the tension in this area, so if you are kind of jolting over small bumps, small knots, you may even hear some crunching and popping. That is normal, but just don't get too excited. Do not go at a super firm pressure. It is not needed. Okay, now moving into the divoted side of the gua sha, we are going to go over one side of the jawline 3 to 5 times before moving into using the flat edge to smooth out our nasolabial folds. So we are working outwards from the corner of the mouth to the edge of our face around the jaw area. Now we are going to take the pointed side of the gua sha and work our under eye area. Again, this area should be done with a very light pressure. We are focusing on drainage rather than tension release under the eyes. Now coming to the side of the nose, we are using the same edge of the gua sha and just very lightly and gently sweeping outwards 3 times before we move to the bridge of the nose using the divoted edge. We are moving upwards with a super light pressure, stopping between the brows and repeating this motion around 3 times. We can use our other hand just under the nose for support. Now the brows. Using the pointed side, we are going to work from the centre of our brow out to the temple, just helping to release those tense areas, our overworked eye muscles. Moving to the forehead with the flat edge of the gua sha, we are moving outwards from the centre 3 to 5 times. Now our brow lift. So we are moving over the brow from the centre of the face outwards, but this time we are moving in a more vertical motion rather than horizontal. So we can use our other hand for support to guide us as well, and just repeating this around 3 to 5 times before we use the ridged edge of the gua sha over the brow, just to further that tension release in this area. We are using the same ridged edge on the jawline, so this is where we can be going a little bit deeper and focusing more on a tension release rather than just drainage. If you don't have a ridged edge on your gua sha, don't worry, you can just use one of the more pointed edges for this technique, but I definitely recommend getting one that has the ridged edge on it. And just finishing as we started, coming down the neck and over the chest, just to help that lymph fluid move in the directions it needs to go. Now the second side of the face, starting as we started last time with a divoted edge along the jawline, we are moving from the centre of our chin out to the masseter area. Now we are going to focus on smoothing out any smile lines using the flat edge of the gua sha. Very simple and gently, just moving from the corner of the mouth outwards towards the ear. Now taking that nice pointed edge again under the eyes, super light, always around the eyes, never applying pressure here. Now coming to the temple before we go into our nose wing sweeps. So just sweeping the gua sha over the edge of the nose 3 to 5 times before we move to the brow. Using the same edge, we are going to work over the brow. You can absolutely use a firmer pressure when working on areas that have bone underneath, for example the brow or forehead or jaw. So using the flat edge, we are coming into our forehead sweeps 3 to 5 times before we move into our forehead lifts. So now again, same as last time, we are moving outwards and upwards rather than across. Taking the ridged edge, we are going to release tension in the brow area, sweeping over the brow 3 times before moving to the jaw. Again, applying a little more pressure here than we did before when working on the jaw. We are really focusing on working out those knots and releasing tight fascia as well as drainage. So you can go intuitively here, definitely work to where your tension is rather than the exact areas that I am working. Everyone's tension looks totally different, so try not to get too caught up on the exact placement of the tension release. So again, just smoothing over the entire face as we started in a couple of sweeps before we move down the neck, just to promote that drainage of fluid. So down the neck, moving into the chest, just sweeping over the chest, and this brings us to the end of our gua sha routine. I hope you've enjoyed. If this is your first time using a gua sha, if it feels a little bit foreign at first, don't worry, that is very normal. Just keep practicing. That is the best thing that you can do. Practice will make perfect. And one top tip that I will give to you is to always use the same hand as the same side of the face you are working on, rather than crossing over using the right hand for the left side of the face, if that makes sense. So the reason for that is just because it will help support your posture and shoulder health, rather than reaching over and creating tension in the neck and shoulder in an unnecessary way. I hope you've enjoyed. Lots of love.